Hi, little birds. Well, th- again, I found a topic finally. I thought of one, and it's one, I've had to cope with, and some of us do, some of us don't, and that is transitioning in the workplace. And I won't say it's been easy, I wouldn't say it's been the best, but it's not been that hard either. And I know that's not the case for all of us. I know it's not universally true, but in my case, it was. And the way you approach coming out at work, first of all, talk to your HR. Talk to your HR, find out what the policies are, find out what they're thinking. Because as a management team, they might have different ideas. My journey was definitely different because I was already in management. I was a department supervisor, so it made it a lot easier to manage as far as everything. And I didn't go to my HR first, you know, like I'm saying, but I did go to my immediate supervisor. I went to my manager and I was like, I need to tell you something. And she's like, okay, what do you got? She's thinking, in the back of her mind, like, oh, she wants to quit. She doesn't want to be here. Or rather, because I was he at the time. But I sat down and I'm like, yeah, I gotta tell you something. I'm transgender. And she's like, what is that? I kind of explained to her, and I told her, I'm like, well, I don't feel comfortable as a boy any longer. I want to come out and be myself, be my authentic self, because I feel it deep down inside of me that I was never meant for this life. I was meant to be born as a woman, to be there, and I've always felt that way, and it's hard faking this because I went through a time when I was down there in that store that I had the denial beard. I grew out my beard and I'm like, surely this will make me feel more masculine. It just compounded things, made me have more issues and be like, okay, this is not how I want it. And so I went to the manager and she's like, okay, well, do you need to wait longer? I'm like, well, I can't really wait longer. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm on hormones and my breasts are already showing. And so it's very hard to hide them already under, clothing. And she's like, oh. And it was just, she was shocked and was at a loss for words. And she's like, and she took a deep breath and she's like, oh, I have to check with the store manager and HR because I've never had to deal with this. I've never dealt with someone that's told me this. So it was a learning experience for all of us in that store. And I really value my friends and coworkers that are there. And I still keep in touch with many of them. And I value them because they were so encouraging, helped me out with clothes and other things, and just were the best. And so a couple weeks went by, so I followed up with the HR, got with HR, and she was like, I don't see any problem, but I'll check with the district HR. And so she was checking with that. And Finally I was like, okay, screw this. I'll just go to the store manager. So I went to the store manager. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. I'm sorry I've been distant. And he's like, oh, I can totally understand. I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, both of my sisters are lesbians, and you coming out doesn't. I don't care. I'll support you. I will, you know, anything you need, I will be there. And so it wasn't short. It was shortly after that I came out, and I came out to my manager staff, and I was in the middle of our meeting, and I was like, guys, this is what I'm feeling, and it was very hard because that was the first time I really came out publicly to anyone, and I was crying in there. A couple other people were crying. Afterwards, we ended. Several wanted to hug me, and I was totally cool with that. And it was like a weight was lifted off my chest. It was very reassuring that I could do this, that I could transition without having to leave my job, without having to find new work. And so, I transitioned fully. I went, from wearing guys' clothes, presenting very guy as I felt, um, into wearing earrings and, changing pretty much everything about me. And, you know, most people were very nice about it. I had a couple others that just kept dead naming me. They would persist, and they'd be like, "Oh, but I knew you before." It doesn't matter if you knew me before. I'm requesting and asking for you to use the name I identify with that fits me, that is me. And the couple that were like that, they just didn't get it. And it's good to have a support system within your manager staff, which is why I say, talk to them. You know, find out what company policies are, because not every company is the same. Not every company is as supportive as mine has been. And it's definitely been a journey, and it's still going to be a journey, and I'm so comfortable and love it so much where I'm at, what I'm doing. And it even came out at work a couple of times that you know uh, I can remember a complaint that a customer had that I want to walk them to the bathroom. I'm not going to walk you to the bathroom. If you ask me where the bathroom is in our store, I'm going to be like, right over there against the wall. Go to the bathroom. And they complained because I didn't show them exactly. I'm not walking you to the bathroom. Surely you can find the bathroom in a store without me guiding you to it. It's one thing for me to walk you to an aisle and show you where the hammers are. It's a whole nother to walk you personally to your urinal. I mean, come on. And then he went and complained, and he's like, that he, she, it, I don't know. And so he made a big stink about it, and one of the managers come up there. He's like, well, you can either get out of my store or shop in peace and leave her alone. And that was the end of that. I saw that guy again a couple more times, but he was pleasant enough. And there was a couple of ladies that complained, and my store manager was there for both times, and I definitely felt the support. He was like, okay, you have a problem with her using the bathroom? She's just using the bathroom. And bless these two little old ladies, but they were like, well, I don't want a man in there. And he's like, well, she doesn't identify as a man. And I can't say enough about him and the support that I received there. And even at this store, I have a lot of support. And it's great at this new store that I have because there's two others transgender people that are there. And one is a trans man, the other is a trans woman. And we have a great bond. We can talk about things and talk about customer issues because we all have that common bond of transitioning and living authentically. So I know for many of us, it's not easy coming out at work. It's typically fraught with issues and being harassed, or even, just they decide they're going to let you go for that very reason. Which is why I don't like the Trump administration right now, because they're really pushing for fairness in the workplace, as they're calling it, where we can be fired just for our identity and how we present ourselves. And, you know, he gets ridiculous, but he wants to do DNA tests to see, oh, you're actually a man. But it's so much more, especially for those of us that do identify as transgender people. It's deep down into our souls. It's not some choice that we're like, oh yeah, I feel like this today. So be supportive of those at work. Try to guide them, support them, and remember, it's not easy for any of us at work, but when you're dealing with coming out and transitioning, it's a lot more. Um, so, talk to the right people. Make sure you know, make sure you're informed, and I'll see you next time. Be your authentic selves. Subscribe below, hit the like button, and leave me a comment. I love to respond to comments, especially if they're pleasant, you keeping peace. The ugly ones, obviously, I'm gonna delete them because I don't need negativity. But bye, guys.